Good afternoon, guys. I am here with Coach A, our second guest for this whole series. For quick introductions, and I'll hand it over to him so I don't steal the thunder. Coach A is one of the most of the renowned fitness and strength and conditioning personalities in the country. So, gym owner, strength and conditioning coach, competitive athlete, uh, man of many hats. I just wanted him to come in today to, share his story with us, and more importantly, the first time I've heard about Coach A is he had a web series before, the title of which I can't say specifically here for a lot of reasons, but essentially, what it meant was in nicer terms is to man up, right? Is you have to in all aspects in life, whether it's in training or whether it's in competing or just kind of living life in general, man up or woman up, right? Like don't quit, don't succumb to anything else that you feel is limiting you from doing what you need to do. Obviously, the way Coach A described it in a single phrase is a little bit more, he hits a little bit more. But again, for various reasons, we can't say it here. But that's how I first came to know of Coach A, when very early in kind of me starting the fitness game and CrossFit. So, Coach A, thanks for coming over. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got started in just kind of training in strength and conditioning, and what's your journey been both as an athlete and as a coach?
Thank you, Toby, for having me here. The better term for that we can use, naiinig ba ako?
Yeah.
Okay yung audio. Anyway, the term I used to use for it beyond being man up, we call it no falter. That's the direct translation for it. We also got it from a song ng what do you call this? Wolfgang. They have a song.
Oh yeah, yeah. Correct.
That's where we got the name. And I used to say that. I used to coin it during when I'm training athletes, when I'm training myself. I used to shout it out, and then it caught on. Doon na nagsimula siya. Well, for my journey, I've been in sports for a big part of my life. Since I was a kid, I've always been in sports. Not necessarily the best at it, but sports has been a big part of my life. Ever since I've been playing, I used to play football. I also did a lot of martial arts. I did a lot of boxing, MMA, and jiu-jitsu. But through the years, one that I've stuck with for the past, siguro since 2009 or 2008, I've been competing in powerlifting. The last competition I did for powerlifting was in Malaysia in 2015. But through it all, I've been dabbling in different sports as well. As for coaching, I officially became a coach back in 2010. And then since 2010, I've been coaching everywhere. I was a gym owner here in the Philippines. I coach abroad as well when I was coaching in Dubai and in Hong Kong. I've met a lot of people in this journey, and I've trained a lot of people as well. And the most important part of it through this all was that the consistent and constant changing of mindsets for myself. For example, you mentioned that you knew me back then as the person who keeps on pushing no falter, manning up. And through the years, I wouldn't say soften up, but I've had my readjustment, realignment when it comes to perspective. Not necessarily throwing away the man up part, but more on other parts of pursuing of who I want to be, what kind of person I was, and how do I translate that into coaching and training and helping myself get better. And the aim all the time is always be the best or even better than your best version of yourself.
Did you start off in terms of dun sa, like, I think like strength sports or strength and conditioning? You started off in powerlifting, right? First, or
For strength sports, yes, I started in powerlifting. But before that, when I was training in jiu-jitsu, I was already dabbling into strength and conditioning.
mm-hmm.
I was influenced. One of my first influences here in this industry was, I don't know if you guys have heard of him, Joe DeFranco. That was one his methods, as well as Louis Simmons, Dave Tate, Jim Wendler. Those people, those were the starters for me. How they carried themselves, how they were training people, how they were presenting their training methods. That's how I started into the lifting. And my goal was, because I was a small guy, I'm still a small guy, and my goal was, if even if I'm small, I want to outstrength and outlast them, because we believe, I got this from boxing kasi. In boxing, the bigger man will always, in all equal forms, the bigger man will always defeat the smaller man. And in jiu-jitsu and MMA, they frown upon lifting before. So in my hindsight, I want to have an advantage. I want to get bigger. I want to get stronger. That way, and all things are equal, skill-wise, training-wise, years of training and preparation. If I'm stronger than that person, I have an advantage that he doesn't have. So I can beat him in that aspect, so to speak. So that's how I started. And then in powerlifting, that's where I really fell in love with lifting. The intricacies of the technique, knowing how you can get better, seeing things in a different perspective. Because if you look at a squat or a deadlift or bench press, it's just moving weights up and down. Basically, that's it. But as you learn how intricate things are, parang nagiging artist ka in knowing how to mold things, how to make things, how to activate a certain body part, how to make sure that your core is always in tune in how you're moving, and how to groove the barbell. Yung mga ganong klase, nagmi-mix na yung art and lifting. And just to comment, I think one reason as well bakit parang for most of us mas maladaling i-translate yung life and strength sports, because unlike in other sports where you play as a team, you have to put yourself kumbaga parang you delegate yourself, and you relegate yourself in a position where the team needs you. When it comes to strength sports, it's up to you, no one else.
No one else.
You,
Right?
your coach, your team. So your journey is your journey alone. So same as your life. Your life may have different characters as you go along. You may write your story the way you want to write it, but at the end of the day, you are the one who's steering your ship. Same as when you're lifting weights, same as when you're doing CrossFit
It's all
competition,
you.
same as when it's all you at the end of the day. Failure, winning, mediocre performances, it's all you. Alam mo, ikaw lang talaga yun. Strongman started for us way back 2016. There was the first official strongman competition here in the Philippines. No one knew how to do it. We didn't know how to do it. I only have a vague idea how to do it. Pero the goal was to learn how to do the technique properly. In fact, we had no idea how to use the yoke. I didn't compete that time, but my athletes, we didn't know how to use the yoke. And then, pero ang goal ko nun talaga, what I think when it comes to, lahat ng sports kasi may principles lagi yan. For example, CrossFit is constantly varied, high-intensity functional movement done in various time domain. Iba-iba siya. So ang goal mo is not to perfect anything, but to be generalist, everything. So ang pinaka-gist ng CrossFit, as the tide goes higher, everything goes higher with it. So lahat yan sasabi mo ng pagtaas. Specialists like powerlifting, weightlifting, and to a degree, strongman, ang habol namin yan is one thing that you're good at, you take away everything else. Kumbaga, kung strength lang yan, everything else works to become a maximal strength performer. Everything else works around that. So, kunyari, ang difference niya, kung ang CrossFit mo, na tide, ito naman wave. Habulin yung pinakamataas na wave na kaya mo. Tapos, tatimingan mo siya ng training para mo siya ibaba consistently para masataas yung next wave. Ganun yung style niya. Sa weightlifting, it's the same thing. Iba-iba lang yung intricacies how to train for power. But, kunyari, ang powerlifting, power goes under it. It takes a back seat. Sa weightlifting, strength takes a back seat, power goes up. Make sense? And then tapos papasok naman tayo sa strongman. Strongman is a combination of three things. Work capacity, strength, and power. Tatlo lang siya. Unlike in CrossFit, ang dami talaga. Andyan yung endurance, andyan yung ito. Ang gusto lang talaga ng strongman is work capacity at the highest level of your strength that will help you generate the most power.
So how has the training evolved over the years also as well?
At the start of this year, to be honest, my goal was always to compete. I don't train for health. I don't mag-train for the sake of just training. There's always supposed to be a competition. That's how I'm built eh. That's how my
Parehas
mind is
tayo,
built.
Coach. I'm the
So it's a
exact
competition
same.
after
I'm the
competition.
exact same guy.
Yeah. Kasi talagang ganun talaga eh. I mean, that's what that's what draws us to it eh. But this year I had a lot of change of perspective, especially after this when you're stuck at home, when you're training, and then alam mo at the back of your head, you're basically training for nothing eh. Diba? So you have to find a way to tune in something deeper. So ngayon, ang naging habol ko, when was the last time I tried training for health? And why can't I put health as a way for competition for me? What is the I asked myself at one point in time. This year lang, I think a few months ago, I asked myself, parang, when was the last time you were healthy training? And I couldn't answer because I've always been training beat up. And I think a bigger part of the reasons why I haven't been competing as much as I want to at a higher level because I've been training beat up and I've been competing beat up. Durug ka lagi. I mean, matigas lagi katawan ko pa lumalaban ng CrossFit. Paano makikipagsabayan sa mga muscle up. Lahat, kailangan brasuhin. Mga ganung bagay na parang, even though technical-wise, I know how to do it and apply it on a good day, but the good days are very rare because of the fact that your body is always beaten up. Pero nagdadala sa'yo doon is the fire of competition. Ngayon, this year, na-realize ko, okay, you're not competing anytime soon and you know it. You have to quit lying to yourself that you will compete in Calis, in whatever.
Oh, yeah.
You have to fuck it. I'm sorry. You have to lie.
Okay lang, Coach. Okay lang.
Kasi same talaga sa isip ko, you gotta stop lying to yourself that you're gonna compete anytime soon. There's no way there's any competition. So how do you find that? And then, realize ko most of my clients are not built the same way I'm built. Not all of them are competitors.
True.
Others are really trying to find a way to be healthy and really capable. My clients mostly in online training are entrepreneurs, CEOs, big performers outside of fitness, business owners, mga ganyan. Kasi talagang matataas na level of and their goal for them is to supplement their life. So the change of mindset as well, I took that as a challenge to myself. Parang, you have to change your mindset as well because you're catering to a different set of people. There's a reason why they're drawn to you because you have a service to offer them. But you are doing them a disservice if you don't know what they're going through. Hindi mo alam paano maging healthy. Hindi ko rin alam paano mag-train for the sake of training. So I took that as competition. Yun yung mindset ko ngayon. I'm training to be healthy. I'm training to be the best look that I can be, na combination of functional strength at the same time looking good, the way na gusto ko maganda itsura ko the way I train for fat loss, mga gano'n na before I wouldn't take second look at it kasi parang hindi siya yung goal ko eh. Pero ngayon, I'm looking at it more in-depth and I-enjoy ko siya sobra. For the first time, nag-join ako ng isang app for mobility na I've never done before. Kahit na, natawa nga ako eh, nagmo-mobilize ako. I'm following a 20-minute protocol. It's like, alam ko lahat to Ba't ba di ko ito ginagawa before? Because wala eh. Wala siya nag-make sense sa'yo. But this time, because everything else is revolving around other things beyond the competition floor, nagbabago rin yung perspective ko. Now, I appreciate it more. Nag-iiba rin. Nakakatuwa nga lang na this situation that we are all in gives you gives you a chance to have an in-depth look of where you are right now in life and what are your real choices, what really matters to you. Okay, so ngayon, parang what matters to me, I want to, because I'm doing a new business I'm doing business with my dad. I want to be successful in that. I want to supplement training for that. At the same time, I still want to be ready for competition. Di nag-make sense siya bigla lahat as a whole picture kasi dati, train ka lang, coach ka lang, and then everything else parang bahala na paano gagawin.
So I guess this concept of maybe overtraining, right? Or not putting enough focus on recovery or sleeping or eating. I've always heard this as one of the most typical parang training mistakes that people typically make, right? So coach, as a coach, that's had all of these years of experience and also trains a variety of people, what other prevalent training mistakes have you seen people kind of make?
Kasi there are several mistakes that people do na-realize ko. I myself did it. First, when I was starting as a coach, ang turo was like, don't stretch. Bakit? Bakit daw? Kasi yung stretch reflex daw ng muscle mo nasisira. Kailangan daw yung muscle mo rigid and tight kasi rigid is strong. Stable siya. Kapag stretch ka, nasisira daw yung muscle spindles. And then now, realize ko, shit, dapat i-stretch ako na mas madalas nung bata ako. Second, ano ba ang prevailing mistake? Not doing other sports. Not enjoying the outward things.
That's true.
Sinasabi ko rin for us also as na medyo season na, may age na tayo. In my 20s, when I focused in CrossFit and lifting, those were the only things I did. Kinalimutan ko na mag-basketball, kinalimutan ko na mag-football. And whenever I tried to play those sports, bilang ang hirap, hindi siya pwede. And then I realized, okay, yung ginagawa ngayon that I'm here at this age and coaching and gano'n, most people stop enjoying the sports kasi feeling nila dito lang sila sa isang bagay gagaling. Kaya, kung powerlifting lang ako gagaling kasi masaya to eh. But the thing is, human beings, we are made to move. We're made to move forward, backwards, sideways, ready to crawl, walk, run. And if you lose those things, if you don't do those things, you will lose the ability to do them. And that's why, as you grow old, because you lost the ability to walk properly, to run sports, to do anything, pagdating sa pagkatanda ng iba, kahit nag-sports siya, nung bata-bata siya, pagdating ng 50s, 60s, isigiling ka na. Hindi ka na makagalaw na maayos. So, in my perspective, what I'm trying to do now is that I want to do as many sports as I can. Maybe not compete or what, pero at the end of the day, for example, I still don't know how to swim properly. I haven't run anything bigger than a 5-kilometer run. Pero what's life if it's just about lifting and lifting weights? Paano na siya gumagana as a whole? Yun yung parang yan yung mga nakikita ko pitfalls of athletes competing in strength sports in particular. And one more thing, ito naman, coaches na nagkakamali dito madalas. When coaches program, it's always forward. Pansinin mo, lahat ng galaw ng CrossFit, lahat ng galaw ng weightlifting, lahat ng galaw ng powerlifting, strongman, it's always forward. So lahat lang galaw lang. Ngayon, when that happens, we try to just move forward, you lose the ability to move sideways. You lose the ability to move backwards. Now, when that happens, doon naninigas lahat ng katawan mo. Kasi lahat ng work output is all in front. So nangyari, nag-weaken ibang parts ng muscle mo. Kaya then, after a while, kita mo, yung mga walang ibang ginagawang sports bukod sa lifting, sila yung pinakamasasakit yung katawan. Kasi wala na sila ibang magalaw. Lahat ng ibang body parts sa katawan nila, weak na rin. Kasi yung katawan nila, sana nilang gumalaw paharap. Yan yung pinaka nakikita ko. Mga 3 things na nakikita ko. Lack of creativity when it comes to other planes of movement, the sagittal movement, the transverse plane movement, lack of programming, lack of doing other sports beyond the lifting, and last one, yun, stretching.
You're a person that, let's say, online or in your social media, like I commend the fact that you've always been, I think, brutally honest with parang your own journey, right? I think for people that don't know you or who want to get a glimpse of kind of the journey of Coach A over the last how many years, they just go to Facebook or IG and they just read the captions, and then they'll see parang like these different stops in the journey, right? What's been the most challenging, I guess, the most challenging challenge or the most challenging obstacle that's been in front of you, both as as an athlete and as a person, as a coach, as a professional in this particular space?
Well, my professional life and my personal life has always been a mix. Kumbaga, it's a mix of two eh. Nag-mix siya lagi eh. Kumbaga, how I present myself in my professional life is always the same person when I present myself in person. For me, biggest obstacle I've had to endure was way back siguro mga 2017 to 2018 up to now. The redeeming factor. 2017, full disclosure, I'm not the best. I've always been honest about this. I've had problems with relationships before. I had problems with relationships, and then I lost my gyms. I lost my athletes, and I take full accountability with my mistakes. And through those mistakes, just to cut it a little bit, kasi mahabang storya to, to cut it a little bit short, it was my pitfall as a person. Everything revolved around me. What kind of person I am? Am I just am I a liar? Am I a cheater? Do I take advantage of people? I mean, I say I'm this person in front of people. I take people to become better versions of themselves. Pero anong klaseng tao ako? And that was the biggest obstacle I had to endure when people started turning their backs on me because of my actions. I mean, nothing criminal or anything, but enough for people to just leave me. Iwan ako sa ere, kumbaga. And then I lost my gyms, I lost relationships, I lost friendships, and because of the fact that I wasn't trying to fix who I was focused more on just doing movements for the sake of moving. Wala akong standard become as a person. Um, my relationships ko were so bad because I kept on lying, and then my friends left me because I wasn't being truthful to them. And that part wherein when you're just all alone and you're rock bottom and you try to focus on what you really are, and then you decide hindi na ako magiging ganito. And then that's when I started my journey in return in coming back, becoming a real better person. And at the end of the day, ang pinaka importante part na yun ng journey is always you gotta be honest with yourself. Sino ka ba talaga? And because of being honest with yourself, you learn to love yourself from where you are. We as men, and nagiging pitfall ng karamihan ng lalaki, is the fact that we don't have a concept of self-love. Kunyari, when I used to be in relations before, I wasn't always honest. Bakit? I didn't know what my standard was. I didn't know that I wasn't putting myself in a position na dapat kailangan lagi mahal mo yung sarili mo kaya hindi ka magsisinungaling. And then that translated in other parts of my life as well when I started to learn about self-love. What is your standard as a man? What is your standard in conducting business with other people? How do you present yourself, the real you? Who are you in social media and who are you in real life? And then from there, learning how to do that journey of really self-discovery and then kumbaga parang self-deprecation din yun eh. Sisirain yung sarili mo, you destroy yourself in order to bring yourself up and just being totally honest of what you are, who you are, and what you want to be. Then afterwards, I learned what is my role in life? What is the role of a man? I learned that as a man, you should always learn how to preside your affairs. Be accountable to yourself. Be accountable to other people as well. Be truthful in your words. Always say one word and say, that's it. Learn to say no. At the same time, always talaga, take care of yourself first. Yan yung mga natutunan ko all throughout this journey. I'm still learning more about myself and learning how to go through life. But this is what I preach because other men have come to me, women even, have come to me and said, this is my struggle. I cheated on my wife. I did this. I did that. I don't know what I am. My people turn their backs on me. And I realize that's why I keep on preaching and being honest with myself in social media because other people were on the same journey that I was before. Other people had no direction how to conduct themselves, how they become better. Because I believe all of us want to be better.
Yeah.
But wala tayong blueprint how to become better. Wala naman tuturo sa atin. And even I I was already a credentialed life coach at the time. I fell so bad because of my own shortcomings. But unless you try to really look at yourself and be honest with yourself, coach yourself, and then importante rin dito as men, kailangan you choose your circle properly. Kunyari ngayon, uso ngayon, for example, yung recent comments about rape culture. I'm sorry if I'm gonna be political here, yung rape culture with the Frankie Pangilinan and Ben Tulfo, na parang ganyan yan kasi dahil hindi nila alam ano yung standard ng being isang lalaki. And you surround yourself the same kind of men, kaya pare-pareho lang iniisip. So ngayon, that's one important part that us men should always focus on, which is choose the men you put in your circle. And don't be scared, don't be shy in removing people that's not up to par to your standard. You can always put them back when they fix themselves and put themselves in your standard. But you gotta choose your standard well. You gotta choose which people you put in your life.
What do you think the new normal will be for our sport or our industry or the fitness industry in general? What do you think it will look like? And do you ever think that before a vaccine is developed, there will be some new normal? Or what will the normal look like?
I think for ako, I'm lucky kasi I transitioned to online coaching full-time this January. The main reason for that was that ayoko na talagang mag-coach ng floor coaching. That's the main reason for that. I don't want to take in clients. I don't want to go coach CrossFit classes. It's not for me anymore. Timing lang na during that time, when I moved back here Manila coming from Lipa, nagkaroon ng Taal Volcano, right? Sumabog. And then I was starting getting clients. And then COVID happened. And then it was just the right time for me to come in. And I think the new normal, well, the temporary situation that's gonna be coming is that magiging ano rin talaga. Everyone will go to house training, online coaching, personal housing training. Yan yung magiging normal natin. And then eventually, just like in other parts of the USA, the big chains will fall. For me lang, this is what I'm gonna see. I see that some of the chains will fall because of the rent and the size. You have to maintain the size in order for you to make more money. And then for small boutique gyms, like other CrossFit gyms, those that will survive because of the fact they can play out the number of people per class. Unlike in big chains, aasa ka talaga sa foot traffic eh.
Yes, that's true.
That's why nga hindi ka nagbibigay ng oras per class eh. Kasi aasa mo na for this whole 12 hours or 16-hour shift, this is the number of people that will come in. That's where you predict the number of members you can have. But for us na nagbubutik, the specialized, yung mga cycling, yung mga yoga, yung mga boutique shops, everything that's related to that, mas makakapag-adjust yan here. Kasi why? First, they are after the personality of the coaches. People will go to the coaches that they can relate to. Pangalawa, management can always play around the number of people per class, which is needed for social distancing. Third, it's more controlled per oras lang yung galaw ng ng situation mo. You can always just extend the hours to accommodate more people for a certain number of working hours, but at the end of the day, you can always find ways to adjust. So yan yung magiging rise niyan. Mawala na yung pili ko, mas lalong mawala kasi bumabalik na yung mga big chains ulit eh. Especially, unti-unti na tinatalo tayo ng CrossFit gyms had the boom way back 2013 to 2015. 2015, pumasok yung Anytime Fitness, nawala na ang CrossFit. Kasi everybody realized, wow, I can do the CrossFit movements inside Anytime Fitness at a fraction of the price. Thinking that coaching is not that big deal anymore.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
This time, babalik na naman tayo dyan. Nangyayari dyan, people will go to boutique gyms. In fact, mauuso rin dyan, I feel, are personal training studios. Personal trainers, they have their own studios we can visit, like schedule 3 people at a time, 2 people at a time, na more safe, safer. Kasi mas makakapag-command ka ng safety measures per person. And then you go there because you're after the personality of the coach and his methods or whatever. Pero then, yan na nakita kong new normal for us.
What advice would you give to those that are just starting out to train on their own? Or train at home, I guess?
Well, if I were to advise someone, siguro, let's just assume this person has no background at all. I would say try to focus more on really moving well first. Knowing how to do the bodyweight squat properly, focus on the push-up properly, and focus on pulling things off the floor properly, raising your core, making sure that your uh, hips go below parallel, making sure that you're comfortable at the bottom of the squat, making your chest touch the floor on each rep on the push-up. Focusing on those three things alone, and other things are just gravy. Kasi any program naman nagko-focus on 3 to 4 things. Either the big three, the compound movement, squat, press, deadlift, and then everything else around it na lang. Kunyari, pwede getting up to 5. Pwedeng squat, press, deadlift, clean and jerk, snatch. And then everything else, even the gymnastic movements, behind it na lang. But if you don't have equipment, you don't have, wala ka pa namang, nung magtuturo ng barbell, body weight talaga, and lots and lots and lots of walking. Why do I always say walking? Una-una, walking always helps you lose fat the fastest. People don't realize that, pero that's the fastest way to lose fat without stressing your body too much. Ang reaction ng katawan natin to stress is to do something about it. For example, na-stress yung katawan mo when it comes to squatting. Ano mangyayari sa dyan? Reaction na, kakain ka na mas marami. So you have to trick yourself into losing fat without raising too much stress hormone. That's why I always advocate walking. That way, you're always on una, your legs become better because you're constantly moving. Second, your heart is pumping all the time. Third, you're losing fat because you're burning calories at a rate without raising too much cortisol. So it helps lose weight and lose fat fast. Tapos when it comes to training, yun nga, bodyweight squats, bodyweight push-ups, try to pull yourself more, whatever variation. For example, wala ka pang pull-up, edi ring rows ng marami hanggang sa mo siya na maayos. And eventually, you don't immediately move to the barbell. You move to the dumbbell. One dumbbell lang. Hindi kailangan ng anything fancy. Hindi kailangan ng mabigat. Isang dumbbell lang muna. Or siguro, kuha ka ng 2 piraso. Isang mabigat na dumbbell, isang magaan at isang mas mabigat na dumbbell. And from there, work your way. Squats, press, deadlifts, walking. And then from there, when you're ready, when your body's ready, you have the work capacity, you move to the barbell. Kasi you have a deeper understanding how your body moves. Ganun yung I would advise someone na walang coach, walang anong gagawin, ganyan na muna.
So, Coach, for those who want to hook up with you, who want to know more, who want to maybe get trained, or who want to just find out and explore things, how can they reach out to you, or where can they find you, and how do they get in touch with you?
Well, I'm more active on Instagram. My Instagram page is riseup.with.coach.a. So rise up with Coach A. That's my business page. That's where I put my thoughts. Well, it's a personal page as well because I'm really, really open to it. And then my training page, if you want to look at my videos and on raw footage, I have Training Garage, Rise Up Training Garage. That's where I put most of the things. I just put whatever I want to put there. And yun, I'm on Facebook. I'm Aaron Alfred de la Cruz. Other than those two social media pages, wala, yan lang. Facebook and Instagram lang ako. My YouTube channel is more for teaching clients. So it's not for, I haven't done any vlogging. Wala akong confidence sumarap sa camera tapos gaganan ko yung sarili ko.
Mahirap siya, Coach. Mahirap siyang gawin. Hindi tayo pang ganyan.
Hindi ko alam kung paano ko siya gagawin ko sa sarili ko. Hindi ko ma-imagine.
Mahirap,
although, so when I do online coaching, my online coaching is always my principles in that. I want everything simple, repeatable, readily explainable, alam mo mismo paano siya intindihin. So, that's my principles all the time. Madali siya intindihin, simpleng gawin, pero very effective ang methods.
All right. So I'll for those of you who want to hook up with Coach A, I'll put links to this video on where you can reach him in Instagram, like he mentioned earlier. So, Coach A, I want to thank you for dropping by for today, for sharing your story. Again, it takes a rare breed of man to be as open, as honest about their journey as you've been today. So for everybody that's hearing, this is Coach A. You've listened to his story. Let's all learn from just being, better person and better men living our life from just hearing this. Thank you so much.